are the policies of the Chinese Communist Party. It's ultimately tyranny and similarly economic policies, which have been very much to the left, essentially paying people money to stay at home.
Well, yes, and it's more than that. Look, we've been mimicking China for a long time. In both on the right and on the left in the United States, there's increased appetite for central planning. There's increased appetite for industrial policy, increased appetite for having a national policy around, semiconductor manufacturing or other kind of manufacturing, things that they look at China, and China has done, and they assume that is why China's been successful. That's a completely wrong analysis. It's not the source of Chinese success. And many people in the West are copying that. Look, politicians, their instinct is always towards more power. They might have a great platform. They might give great speeches. They might promote free markets and individual freedom. But once they get the power, they almost always increase the size of government. They almost always increase its controls over the economy and control over the individuals. And it doesn't matter in the United States whether it's the left or the right. Look at Boris Johnson. A lot of promise there, and yet he's governing from the left. He's governing from the perspective of government intervention, from the perspective of much bigger government involvement in the economy and in our lives.
And do you think that the West will ever recalibrate back to its original values for which so many gave their lives, economic and personal freedom?
Well, ever is a long time, so hard to tell. I don't see it in the short run. I just don't see the politicians. I don't see the intellectual movement that will drive politicians in that direction. When during the 1970s, when we got Margaret Thatcher and we got Ronald Reagan, that inched us a little bit in that direction, not enough in my view. Some of your viewers here will be shocked that I think Margaret Thatcher was too moderate, but in economic policies. There was a whole intellectual movement. There were intellectual giants, where there was Hayek in the UK, where there was people like Milton Friedman, Mises, Ayn Rand, advocating for these ideas in the U.S. Today, the movement around liberty, individual liberty, economic liberty, it's just thin. It's not.
It's considered a luxury. I mean, what did Arnold Schwarzenegger, movie star and former governor of California, say? Screw your freedom.
Absolutely. And look, Schwarzenegger should speak, right? Schwarzenegger came into power as a Milton Friedman-like pro-markets, pro-capitalism governor, and as soon as he discovered that wasn't very popular in California, shifted and ruled and governed from the left. He was no different than a Democrat when it comes to California politics, and he was very successful from an electoral perspective. So we can blame the politicians all we like, but at the end, it's not their fault. It's our fault. We get the politicians we deserve. We get the ideology we deserve. If we want to change, we have to change. That requires education. So back to your question of will we ever return? Yes, but it's going to take a while. It's going to take new intellectual giants, educating the public, educating us about the core values, the core principles at the foundation of liberty, at the foundation of freedom. And until we do that, we can tinker with tax rates, we can tinker with policies. That's not going to do it. We have to change the whole way we think about government. We have to limit its scope. We have to resurrect the Lockean concept of individual rights and think about individual rights, and the government's sole job is protecting those rights. That's going to take a massive program of education.
But there will be a backlash against